My beloved child, tonight, when the door of your room closes, when the noise outside slowly fades away, when the last light of the day still lingers on the small wall and your heart thinks that no one has seen all that you have tried to do, I want you to know that I am here, not in some distant place above the clouds that you must lift your eyes to reach, not only in candlelit sanctuaries or in prayers you recite perfectly, but right here in this room. Among the most ordinary things of your life, I am in your weary breath, in the pillow that has absorbed so many silent moments, in the hand you place upon your chest to remind yourself that this day, too, will pass. And my child, before you have time to blame yourself for what you have not yet done, before you call yourself weak, slow, or not good enough, I want to bend close to you and say, I am proud of you. I am proud not only when you win, not only when you stand on the heights, not only when everyone applauds and calls your name, but even when you simply rise in silence after a night full of tears. Wash your face, keep walking, and refuse to let the darkness swallow your soul. Do you remember? In Scripture, I spoke through the prophet Isaiah, "Do not fear, for I have redeemed you. I have called you by name. You are mine." Those words were not only for the strong, the holy, the radiant in the eyes of the world, they are also for you, the one who sometimes feels broken, the one who has prayed many times and still has not seen an answer, the one who has tried to keep a smile before family, friends, and co-workers, but upon returning to your room, no longer has the strength to pretend that you are fine. I know the things you do not tell. I know the bills that weigh down your heart, the worries about money that keep you awake, the careless words of others that pierce you like thorns, the times you look in the mirror and wonder whether you are still lovable, precious, and worthy of being cherished. And I want to place my hand upon your shoulder like a merciful father placing his hand upon a child who bows their head, so that you may understand that your worth is not found in the money you possess, not in the title you hold, not in whether your body is strong or weak, and not in the praise or criticism of the world. Your worth was carved into my love from the time before you were formed in your mother's womb. There are days when you walk through this world like someone carrying a vessel full of cracks upon your shoulders. You fear that others will see you are not perfect. Fear that your family will be disappointed. Fear that your children will notice your insecurity. Fear that your work no longer has room for a soul that is tired. The fear that age will take away your strength. Fear that illness will quietly come near. Fear that old mistakes will return to demand payment. But my child, I do not come to demand that you become a flawless vessel before you are worthy of love. I come to pour light through those very cracks. When St. Paul heard my words, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness," those words were not meant for one apostle alone, but for every soul that believes it has been drained completely. Your weakness does not make me farther from you. Often the very place you think is most shameful is the place where I enter most tenderly. You do not need to hide your trembling hands from me, for I once allowed my only begotten Son to stretch out his hands upon the cross, so that you would understand that true love does not run away from pain. My child, your room is not merely four walls. It is a place that holds so many stories the world cannot see. Perhaps it once echoed with laughter from the days when you still had so much hope. Or perhaps it has seen you sitting motionless in the middle of the night, not knowing what name to give to your own feelings. Perhaps on that desk there is still a notebook filled with unfinished plans, intentions for a better life, a healthier body, a more peaceful mind, a warmer family, a more decent job, a savings account large enough to ease your worries. I see it all, and I do not consider any of it small. The world often notices only great achievements, but I treasure even the moment when you choose not to give up, when you tidy your room after many chaotic days. I see it. When you drink a glass of water instead of neglecting your body. I see it. When you hold back a bitter word so your family may have a little more peace. I see it. When you place your hand upon a child's head and speak gently though you yourself are tired. I see it. And like the father in the parable of the prodigal son, I do not stand with crossed arms, asking how much you have wasted, how many mistakes you have made, or how far you have gone. I run out to welcome you. Because to me, what matters most is not how far you have wandered, but that you can still come home. Perhaps you have grown used to hearing the world tell you that you must prove yourself worthy. You must do more, earn more, be more beautiful, younger, stronger, more successful, have a better house, a more complete family, a more perfect life for others to admire. But my child, in my kingdom, the soul is not weighed by such cold measures. When Jesus saw the poor widow placing 2 small coins into the treasury of the temple, he did not look at the amount, but at the heart. The world may have considered that gift insignificant, but heaven heard the ringing sound of a love given completely. In the same way, there are efforts of yours that no one acknowledges, no one knows, no one applauds, but I have seen them like small coins shining in the temple of your life. A difficult apology, a morning when you no longer want to live in resentment, a time when you forgive though your heart still hurts, a minute when you kneel in silence though your faith is only a faint glimmer. All of these are precious before me. My dear child, I know there are times when you look at your health and feel anxious. Your body does not always obey you. There are days when you are tired, deep in your bones. Days when your mind feels like a garden with too many weeds. Days when your heart beats quickly because of fears that have no clear shape. But do not despise your body, for your body too is a temple where the Spirit may dwell. Be gentle with it as I am gentle with you. Do not remember me only when your soul is in pain. Remember me also when you eat a wholesome meal, when you walk under the sunlight, when you take a deep breath, when you let your eyes rest, when you allow sleep to become a prayer without words. In the Psalms it is written, I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. And that wonder does not disappear just because you are weak, growing older, changing, or carrying scars. Every heartbeat of yours is still a testimony that I have not withdrawn my love from you. And when you think of your family, I know your heart can feel both warm and wounded. There are people you love but do not know how to come close to. Conversations that should have been gentle but became silence instead. Children who need you to be strong while you yourself are still a child needing to be held. Fathers, mothers, brothers, sisters, spouses whom you both thank and feel hurt by. Family is holy ground, yet it is also where many thorns grow. Because wherever there is love, there is also the possibility of pain. Do not think that I am present only in perfect families. I was born in a manger, in poverty, amid the instability of a world that had prepared no place for me. Therefore, I understand imperfect homes. I understand the sigh after a meal, the words left unsaid, the wounds passed from one generation to the next. But I can also turn water into fine wine as at the wedding feast of Cana, not to display a miracle, but to remind you that joy you thought had run dry can still be restored when you invite me to enter. Perhaps you once thought you had failed in your work, or that you are moving more slowly than others on the path of your career. You watch your friends move forward, see others buy homes, change cars, build their status, while you are still struggling with the basics. You ask yourself why you have tried so hard, and still have not seen fruit. But my child, no seed blames itself for not becoming a tree on the first day. It is buried in the soil. The darkness of the earth is not a sign of death. Often it is where life is beginning in the quietest way. When Joseph was sold into Egypt, misunderstood, and forgotten in prison, if one looked only at each isolated day, one might think his life was only a chain of losses. But my hand was weaving a path he could not yet understand, so that later he could say what others intended for harm, God used for good. So it is with you. Some delays are not meant to humiliate you, but to form within you a steadiness deeper than outward success. Even in finance, where you often feel the greatest pressure, I want you to learn to see with more peaceful eyes. I do not want you to live recklessly, nor do I want you to be controlled by the fear of lack. I taught that the birds of the air neither sow nor reap, and yet your Father in heaven feeds them. But that does not mean you should abandon responsibility. It means you do your part with wisdom, while not allowing your heart to be imprisoned by anxiety. Manage what you have with faithfulness. Do not be ashamed because it is little. Do not become arrogant because it is much. And do not allow money to become a small god seated upon the throne of your heart. 1 coin earned honestly carries more light than 1,000 coins gathered through injustice. A simple meal with thanksgiving can be warmer than a lavish banquet without love. When you learn to be content, it does not mean you abandon your dreams. It means you place your dreams in my hands, so they do not devour your soul. The pride I have in you is not like the fragile pride of the world. The world is proud when you do not fall. I am proud when you fall, and still reach your hand toward the light. The world is proud when you do not cry. I am proud when you cry, and still do not lose your kindness. The world is proud when you defeat others. I am proud when you overcome bitterness within yourself. Do you remember Peter, the disciple who boldly promised that even if everyone abandoned the teacher, he would not? Yet in the night of fear he denied him 3 times. If I loved only those who never stumbled, Peter would have been removed from the story of salvation. But the risen Lord came to the shore of the lake, not to crush him with his old sin, but to ask him with a healing question, do you love me? Do you see? I do not always begin with condemnation. Often I begin with a question that opens the way for the heart to return to love. And tonight, as I am here in your room, I do not come like a judge holding a book of your faults, but like a father sitting beside a child who has passed through a long day. I want you to tell me even the things you think are small. Speak to me about the worry in your chest, about the person you miss, about the words that hurt you, about the debt that frightens you, about the plan you have not finished, about the dream you have hidden because you fear being mocked. I do not grow tired of listening to you. In the Garden of Gethsemane, Jesus understood the loneliness of a soul in pain to the point of sweating blood. He understood what it felt like when those most loved could not stay awake with him even for 1 hour. So, when you feel that no one is awake with your sorrow, remember that I am still awake. When you think your prayer is too clumsy, remember that even an honest sigh can rise like incense before me. Sometimes you ask me why this room is still silent, why your prayer has not yet come true, why the person you love has not changed, why the opportunity has not arrived, why the door remains closed. My beloved child, I do not look down on those questions. Faith is not pretending that you do not hurt, nor is it forcing the heart to be silent before every loss. Upon the cross, my only begotten Son cried out, my God, why have you forsaken me? That cry gives you the right to be honest in prayer. But after the cry, there is still surrender. After Good Friday night, there is still the dawn of resurrection. After the stone sealed the tomb, there is still the hand of God rolling it away. Therefore, Do not draw final conclusions about your life while the story is still being written. Do not call one winter the end simply because you have not yet seen the spring buds beneath the ground. Deep within, perhaps you need to hear that you are not a burden to me. You do not trouble me when you pray many times about the same thing. You are not weak in faith simply because you need to be reminded again that you are loved. Little children often ask their parents again and again, "Do you still love me?" Not because love has been lost, but because a small heart needs to be held again in certainty. You are the same. I am not angry when you need to hear it again. I will say to you today, tomorrow, and in every season of life that you belong to me. If the whole world forgets your name, I still call you by name. If others remember only your mistakes, I still remember how hard you tried. If you no longer know how to pray, the Holy Spirit will intercede for you with groanings too deep for words. As St. Paul wrote, because heaven does not listen only to polished language, heaven also hears the trembling rhythm of a soul searching for the way home. There is a story I want you to keep in your heart. After Jesus rose from the dead, the disciples gathered in a room with the doors locked because they were afraid. They were not standing in the public square singing songs of victory. They were in a room with doors closed, hearts troubled, and the memory of failure still burning. And precisely in that locked room, Jesus came, stood among them, and said, "Peace be with you. Do you see? A locked door cannot prevent my presence. Your fear is not strong enough to keep me outside. Your messy room, your troubled mind, your wounded soul, none of these can make me turn away. I passed through the doors you thought were shut tight, not to reproach you for being afraid, but to place peace right in the middle of that fear. Today, your room too can become a room of resurrection, where I enter and speak to you in the gentlest voice. Peace be with you. From that peace, learn to see the world again. Look at the morning not merely as another day to carry burdens, but as a new garment I place upon your shoulders. Look at a loaf of bread, a bowl of rice, a glass of water, the sound of birds, a passing breeze, a kind message, someone who remains, a small opportunity, a deep breath, as gentle signs that I am still sending goodness into your life. Not every day is radiant, but every day contains a piece of grace hidden somewhere for the one who knows how to bend down and pick it up. When you water a plant, remember that I too am watering your soul with drops of patience. When you open the window to let in the light, remember that I too can open a small window in your mind for hope to pass through. When you clear one corner of your desk, remember that this small order is also a way of cooperating with grace, because your God is not only present in great miracles, but also in humble care for the things close at hand. If today you are a father, a mother, a child, a friend, a worker, a student, someone healing, someone beginning again, I want you to know that every role you carry can become a place of sanctification. When you work with an upright conscience, that is a prayer made with your hands. When you care for your children with patience, that is the gospel written through meals, sleep, embraces, and gentle instruction. When you treat kindly someone who cannot repay you, that is the light of the kingdom of heaven touching the earth. When you forgive, not to deny the pain, but to refuse to let pain rule over you, you are opening a road toward freedom. I do not demand that you do everything perfectly. I simply invite you to do the nearest good thing with a heart turned toward the light. Today, one step. Tomorrow, one step. And then you will be surprised to see that grace has led you farther than you ever imagined. Do not compare your journey with anyone else's anymore. A lily of the field does not compete with a cedar on the mountain. A small stream is not ashamed because it is not yet the ocean. Every creature has its own breath in my symphony. You too have your own rhythm. Some people bloom early, others grow silently through many seasons of rain and sun. Some are called before the crowd, others are sent into hidden corners to quietly keep the flame alive. In my eyes, faithfulness in a small place is not inferior to glory in a great place. When David was still tending sheep in the fields, few imagined that this boy would become king, but I had already seen his heart. People look at outward appearance, but I look into the depths of the heart. Therefore, do not despise your small beginning. Perhaps today you are only learning how to live kindly with yourself again. But that, too, is a sacred beginning. There are wounds within you that need time, and I am not in a hurry to tear them out like someone without patience. I heal like the dawn gradually rising, like oil gently poured upon a wound, like the Good Samaritan bandaging the one left by the roadside. You have once been that person lying beside the road, exhausted by invisible attacks, by the coldness of life, by people who passed by and did not stop. But I stopped. I did not pass you by as though you were only a problem. I bent down. I saw your dignity still intact beneath the dust of sorrow. I lifted you up not because you were worthy according to the world's standards, but because my love always leans toward the wounded. And when I bring you into the inn of grace, I do not say, heal yourself immediately. I say, remain in this love, so that day by day you may be restored. As the night grows deeper and the sounds within your heart become louder, let my words cover you like a warm cloak. Do not lie down thinking that you are a failure. Do not let the enemy whisper into your ear that you are not worthy of love, that everything is too late, that I have forgotten you. The deceiver always speaks with a hurried and heavy voice, while my voice often comes like the gentle whisper that the prophet Elijah heard on the mountain. I am not always in the earthquake of emotions, not always in the fire of events, not always in the thunder of signs and wonders. Often I am in the quiet tenderness that makes you tremble a little less, in the small thought that reminds you to drink water, to rest, to apologize, to forgive, to begin again, to pray, to call someone, or simply to live one more day. Learn to recognize me in these things, for I often hide glory within humility. And my child, I am truly proud of you because you are still here. After all the days you thought you would not survive, you are still breathing. After the words that wounded you, you still have the ability to love. After the disappointments, you still have a small corner reserved for hope. After the times you wandered far away, you can still hear the call to return. You do not know how precious that is. Heaven rejoices over one lost sheep that has been found, not because it was never lost, but because it has been placed again upon the shoulders of the Good Shepherd. If today you have only enough strength to whisper, Lord, have mercy on me, that is enough to open a small crack of light. If you have only enough strength to place your hand upon your chest and breathe, I am still there, counting each heartbeat of yours with tireless love. Tomorrow, when you open your eyes, do not rush to carry an entire mountain of worries upon your shoulders. Let me go before you. Let me step into your work, your meals, your conversations, your financial decisions, your medical appointments, the weariness within your family, and the fear in your future. Remember the words of Jesus, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." Resting in me does not mean your life will no longer have anything to do. It means your soul no longer has to do everything as though it had been abandoned. You are not alone in this room. You are not alone out there on the streets. You are not alone in the office, in the hospital, in the kitchen, in the car, before the computer screen, or in the middle of a crowd that seems as if no one truly sees you. I see you. I know you. I love you. Therefore, wipe away your tears if they have fallen. But do not be ashamed of them. Your tears do not make you weak. Many times they are the river that washes the dust of pain from your eyes, so that you may see me more clearly. Place your worries back into my hands, one by one, as though laying heavy stones down at the foot of the cross. Forgive yourself for not being perfect today. Thank your body for having tried. Bless this room, where I am present with you. Let sleep come as a response to love, because while you sleep, I still keep watch. The psalm has sung, "He who watches over Israel will neither slumber nor sleep." And the one who watches over you is the same. When you let go of everything in the night, those things do not fall into emptiness. They fall into my hands. My beloved child, if no one has said this to you today, then hear me say it. I am proud of you because you have tried to live kindly in a world that is sometimes too hard. I am proud because you still want to love, even though you have been hurt. I am proud because you still seek the light, even on days when the darkness feels very near. I am proud because you are still walking, even if your steps are small. I am proud because you are learning to believe that you have not been abandoned, and I am here, in your room, not as a distant idea, but as a gentle presence covering you. Rest in me. Let your heart soften again. Let your breathing slow down. Listen in the silence to the voice of the Father saying to you, "You are my beloved child. In you I am well pleased." And your journey is still held within a love greater than every fear. When dawn comes, you will not begin again alone. I will go with you, before you, behind you, beside you, and within you, until the day every tear is wiped away and you realize that throughout your whole life, even in the quietest rooms, I never once left you. And now that you have heard my voice speak in the silence, telling you that you are never abandoned, I want you to remain a little longer in this presence. Do not rush to stand up as though grace merely stopped by and then disappeared. There are souls so accustomed to living in haste that even when they are loved, they do not dare to remain in that love. You have been like that at times too. Have you not? You hear comfort, yet you still worry about tomorrow. You know I am here. Yet you still fear being alone. You believe that I am merciful, yet you still wonder whether that mercy is meant for you personally, or only for those who are better, holier, and less mistaken than you. Listen, my child, I do not distribute love the way the world gives rewards to those who are worthy. My love goes before your worthiness, like the sun rising before the meadow has had time to bloom, like rain falling on dry ground before it has had time to prove that it will bear fruit. When Jesus saw Zacchaeus in the sycamore tree, he did not wait for him to repair his entire past before calling him down. He said, "Today I must stay at your house." Do you see? It was my presence itself that opened the door to renewal. So tonight, I also say to you that I want to stay in your room, not merely standing outside the door, not merely visiting for a moment, but remaining in every small corner you once thought was too messy, too dark, too shameful to offer to me. From that place, I want you to look back over your life with different eyes. Do not look only at the broken parts of the road and then conclude that your journey has failed. Do not remember only the words that wounded you and then imagine that the whole world is cold. Do not look only at the times you prayed and did not yet see an answer, and then think that heaven has been silent. There are seasons when I answer by opening a door, but there are also seasons when I answer by staying beside you in the hallway of waiting. There are times when I give you what you ask for, but there are also times when I give you the strength not to be crushed by what has not yet arrived. The prophet Habakkuk once stood in the midst of a troubled time and still declared that though the fig tree did not blossom, though the vines bore no fruit, he would still rejoice in God his Savior. That was not the shallow joy of someone who had never suffered, but a joy as deep as an underground spring, preserved by faith that I am still who I am, even when circumstances have not yet changed. You, too, can learn that joy, not by denying your tears, but by letting them fall into the palm of my hand. Perhaps you have carried a quiet guilt in your heart, feeling that you have wasted too much time. You regret the years that have passed, the opportunities you did not take, the relationships you could not keep, the unwise decisions, the words you should have spoken sooner or should never have spoken at all. But, my child, in my hands, time is not only something that has been lost. I am the one who can restore the years the locusts have eaten. As the prophet Joel proclaimed about the restoration of mercy, I do not need you to return to the past to torment yourself. I invite you to bring that past to me. As people brought the leftover fragments after the miracle of the multiplied bread, the fragments in your hands, if placed into my hands, can still become a sign of fullness. Do not despise those fragments. What you learned after your mistakes can become wisdom. The wounds you have passed through can make your heart gentler toward others. The times you fell can teach you how to lift someone else up without arrogance. No tear entrusted to me becomes meaningless. And when your mind begins to grow calm, I want you to listen to your body as you would listen to an old friend. Many times you have forced it to be silent for too long, making it endure sleepless nights, hurried meals, stressful days, shallow breaths from anxiety, and then when it grows tired, you blame it for being weak. My beloved child, your body is not a traitor to you. It is the temporary tent I have given your soul on its earthly journey. Even when that tent is torn, even when it hurts, even when it needs rest, it is still worthy of being cared for with gratitude. When Jesus saw the hungry crowd, he did not merely preach to them and then send them away exhausted. He told the disciples to give them something to eat. This reminds you that God cares for both the soul and hunger, both faith and the body, both prayer and bread. Therefore, care for your health, not as a heavy duty, but as a sacred act. Sleep at the right time, a clear glass of water, a walk beneath the open sky. One moment when you release yourself from self-torment, all of these can become an act of thanksgiving. From the body, I lead you back to the mind, where there are rooms smaller than the room in which you are sitting, yet sometimes even darker. There are thoughts that repeat, like knocking at the door in the night, telling you that you are not enough, that you will fail, that no one truly loves you, that it is too late for you to begin again. But remember, not every voice in your mind is the voice of truth. The tempter once came in the wilderness with words that seemed reasonable, but Jesus answered with the word of God, so that you might understand that the mind must be guarded by light. When fear says that you will not survive this, let the words "do not fear, for I am with you" rise within you like a lamp. When shame says that you are no longer clean, remember the psalm, "Wash me, and I shall be whiter than snow," not as a distant sentence, but as a clear stream flowing through your soul. When loneliness says that no one sees you, remember Hagar in the desert, the woman who thought that she and her son would die forgotten. Yet God opened her eyes to see a well of water, and she called him the God who sees me. I am also the one who sees you in your own desert. From the story of Hagar, understand this. Sometimes the well of water does not appear by falling from the sky. It has been nearby all along. But your eyes were covered by tears and could not see it. I can open your eyes to notice a source of help you once overlooked, a friend who can listen, A small opportunity that can begin something new. A skill you can learn. A habit you can change. A simple joy still very close to you. Do not underestimate the little wells in the desert of your life. A word of encouragement at the right time can be a well. A medical appointment can be a well. A small amount of money managed wisely can be a well. An evening when you do not hold your phone for too long so your mind can rest can be a well. A moment when you say, "I need help," can be a well. I often save you not only through thunder that lights up the sky, but through small graces that are enough for you to take one more stretch of the road. And as you continue walking, I want you to learn to look at your family with mercy without losing the truth. There are homes that need love, but they also need healthy boundaries. There are people you must forgive in your heart, but that does not necessarily mean allowing them to keep wounding you in the same way. Forgiveness is not pretending that the wound never existed, nor is it handing the key to your soul to someone who does not know how to cherish it. Forgiveness is placing the final judgment into my hands, so that you no longer have to keep drinking the bitter cup of resentment. When Jesus on the cross said, "Father, forgive them," he did not call evil good. He opened a way for love not to remain forever crucified by evil. You, too, can ask for that grace. Little by little, perhaps today you cannot forgive completely, but you can begin by not wishing harm upon the one who hurt you. Perhaps today you cannot speak to them again, but you can ask me to keep your heart from turning to stone. And if you are the one who has hurt someone else, you can also begin with a humble apology, without justifying yourself, without shifting blame, simply opening a door for truth and healing. In your work and daily responsibilities, do not think that I am present only when you kneel in prayer. I go with you when you turn on your computer, when you reply to a difficult message, when you stand and sell something, when you teach a child, when you care for the sick, when you drive through crowded streets, when you wipe a table, when you sit and calculate the month's expenses. A holy life does not always have an outward halo. Many times it wears the ordinary clothing of faithfulness. Saint Joseph did not leave many words in Scripture, but his working hands nourished the home of Nazareth, and his silence radiated a steadfast faith. You, too, can sanctify your work through integrity. Do not do what is dishonest simply because you fear lack. Do not sell your dignity cheaply just to be recognized by others. Do not let ambition make you forget those who need your love. Do your part with a clean conscience. Then leave to me the part that is beyond your strength. When you think about money, let me teach you the balance of a child of light. Poverty does not make you less valuable. Wealth does not make you greater than others. What I seek in you is not how much you possess, but to whom your heart belongs. The rich man in the gospel built larger barns to store his goods, but forgot that his soul could not be fed by barns of grain. Meanwhile, the boy with 5 loaves and 2 fish, when he placed his small portion into the Lord's hands, saw the crowd fed to fullness. Therefore, earn money with honesty, save with wisdom, give with love, and do not let the fear of lack steal your trust. If today you have only a little, be faithful with a little. If tomorrow I entrust you with more, use that abundance to uphold life, not to build a wall of pride around your heart. Money in the hands of one who knows how to love can become bread for the hungry, clothing for the cold, medicine for the sick, opportunity for a child, and peace for a home. From those concerns, I draw you back again to nature, because the world I created is still preaching to you in a gentle language. Look at a tree along the road. It does not shout to prove that it is growing. It simply receives sunlight and rain, takes root, and rise. Look at the sky after the rain. it is not a shame that it was just filled with dark clouds. It simply opens into a blue space when the time comes. Look at the sea. At times the waves are restless. At times they are calm. Yet deep below there are still steady currents. Your life is like that too. There are seasons when you do not see yourself making progress. Yet the roots of faith are growing deeper. There are days when you see only clouds. Yet the sky has not disappeared. There are moments when your emotions rise like waves. Yet I can still speak as Jesus spoke on the lake. Be still, and the storm within you will learn to bow before my peace. But do not forget that the peace I give does not turn you into unfeeling stone. On the contrary, it teaches you to love this world more deeply without being swallowed by it. You can rejoice in the laughter of children. Be grateful for a warm meal. Cherish a beautiful, sunny afternoon. Care for an elderly person. Sow a word of encouragement. Create something useful. Build a family. Preserve a friendship. Make the place where you live more beautiful. And in all of these things, you are cooperating with my goodwill. I did not create you merely to endure life. I created you to receive it, care for it, transform it, and light it up. When the book of Genesis says that I looked upon everything I had made and saw that it was good, that word still echoes today. Although sin has wounded the world, the goodness I planted in creation has not been erased. Each time you choose kindness instead of bitterness, building instead of destruction, hope instead of despair, you make that original beauty shine once more. Perhaps there is still a very small question in your heart, if I am proud of you. Why do you still feel that you are not good enough? My beloved child, the feeling of not being enough often comes from listening too long to the measurements of the world. The world teaches you to keep accelerating, but I teach you to walk according to grace. The world teaches you to always stand out, but I teach you to be faithful in hidden places. The world teaches you to hide your wounds, but I teach you to bring them into the light. You do not need to turn yourself into someone else in order to be loved by me. You need to let my love transform you from within. A grain of wheat does not become a plant by hating itself for being a grain of wheat, but by surrendering itself into the earth and trusting the life I placed within it. You, too, do not heal by despising the person you are now. You heal when you allow me to love you right where you stand. And from that love, I lead you forward. Therefore, tonight, let me speak slowly into every trembling part of you. To the part of you that fears the future, I say, I have gone before you. To the part of you that is ashamed of the past, I say, my mercy is deeper than your mistakes. To the part of you that is tired in the body, I say, rest. You are not a machine. To the part of you that is lonely, I say, I am here, right in your room. To the part of you that worries about family, I say, love with wisdom, and entrust to me what is beyond your strength. To the part of you that is confused about money, I say, be faithful. Stay awake, but do not worship fear. To the part of you that longs to be recognized, I say, before anyone called your name, I already called you my beloved child. To the part of you that wants to give up, I say, remain one more day in the light, because your story is not over. From that word, remember Mary Magdalene beside the empty tomb. She wept because she thought the Lord had been taken away, thinking that the last love she still had also been stolen. But the risen one stood near her, and only when he called her name were her eyes opened. Do you see? There are times when I have been standing near you in the very moment you thought I was absent. There are times when you weep before an empty tomb without knowing that new life has already begun. There are times when you call something an ending and name it loss, while I am preparing another way of being present deeper. more delicate, no longer limited by what you once knew. When I call your name, I am not calling a name written on paper. I am calling your whole being, your past, your present, your fears, your dreams, your wounds, and the beauty still hidden within you. And when you hear that call, you will understand that you are not the keeper of the tomb of a dead hope, but a witness to a dawn that is coming. Louder. When this video closes or when the room returns to its quietness, I do not want you to treat these words like a passing breeze that disappears. Carry them into your day. When you fold your blanket, remember that I can help you put your soul back in order. When you open the door, remember that I am also opening a way. When you wash your face, remember that mercy can wash away shame. When you eat, be grateful that life is still being nourished. When you work, work as one who has been sent, not as one abandoned. When you meet someone difficult to love, ask me for a wise heart, both gentle and firm. When you hear bad news, place it at the foot of the cross before allowing it to take the throne of your heart. When you are joyful, rejoice purely. When you are sad, grieve with hope. When you succeed, be humble. When you fail, return. Every state you are in can become a meeting place with me if you do not close the door of your heart. And if one day you forget again, if you once more find yourself far away, if this room becomes heavy again, remember that you can begin again with one very small word. There is no need for perfect sentences. There is no need for long rituals if your heart only has enough strength to breathe. You only need to say, Father, here I am, and I will hear you. Just as the father in the parable recognized the figure of his son from far away, I also recognize the smallest movement of your soul when it turns back. I do not run slowly toward you. I run with mercy. I do not first ask how you dirtied your garment. I place a new robe upon you. I do not make you stand on the porch until you gradually become worthy. I bring you into the house. I do not allow the past to speak the final word over your life. I prepare a feast for life returning. That is my heart for you. Yesterday, today, and forever. Now, my beloved child, place your hand upon your heart and receive this truth, as one receives a candle lit in the night. I am proud of you, not because you have become perfect, but because you are still allowing grace to work within you. I am proud that after so many times life has worn you down, you still want to believe in what is good. I am proud that you still long to become kinder, purer, more peaceful, more loving. I am proud that you have passed through days no one knew about, fought battles no one saw, wiped away tears no one counted, and still remain here to hear my voice. Do not regard your presence in this world as something accidental. You were a loving thought in my heart before you were a human being in the eyes of the world. You were created not to live as someone unnecessary, but to reflect a very particular ray of my light. So rest, but rest in faith and not in despair. Cry if you need to, but cry in my embrace and not in loneliness. Make plans for tomorrow, but do not let tomorrow steal the peace of tonight. Love others, but also allow me to love you. Care for the world you live in, but do not forget to care for the small garden within your heart. I am here, in this room, within this breath, in this faint light, beside this bed, near these ordinary objects. In the very moment when you think there is nothing sacred at all. And because I am here, this place is no longer merely a room, it is a silent chapel, a small Bethlehem, a shore of Galilee in the night, a locked room where the risen one enters and says, "Peace be with you." Receive that peace. Let it flow through your memory, through your body, through your family, through your work, through your anxieties about money, through your sleep, and through the dawn that is about to come. Then, when you open your eyes to a new day, know that you are not stepping out of my presence, you are simply carrying that presence with you. Like a lamp sheltered in the palm of the Father's hand, until every path you walk learns how to shine in love. And as you let those words settle into your heart, like morning dew resting upon a field before the sun rises, I want you to understand one more gentle thing. My presence in your room is not only to comfort you during one sorrowful night, but also to sanctify your whole life. From the great things you pray for to the small things you do each day that no one considers sacred. You often think a holy life begins only when you kneel longer. Pray more. Enter the church in proper clothing with a heart untouched by dust. But I see holiness even when you fold your blanket neatly. Wash a glass after a tiring day. Open the door to let the light come in. And tell yourself that you will not allow yesterday to steal today. My child, every ordinary thing can become a small altar if you place love within it. A narrow room can still be as spacious as the temple if within it there is a soul that knows how to invite me to stay. A simple meal can still become a feast of grace if you know how to give thanks. A quiet working day can still resound like a hymn if you do it with faithfulness. I once chose a manger as the place where my only son would lie down. Once chose ordinary fishermen to become apostles. Once chose plain water in stone jars to be turned into good wine. So do not be surprised when I also choose your small room to sow a new season of peace. From that place, look back upon the months and days you have passed through. But do not look only with accusing eyes. There were seasons when you lived as though you were trapped in the desert. Like Hagar of old, holding her little child in the wilderness, thinking every source of water had run dry and that the future was nothing more than a cry of despair. But do you remember, in that scorched place, I heard the child's voice and opened Hagar's eyes so she could see the well of water nearby. Many times, your well is also closer than you think. It is just that tears, fear, and exhaustion have blurred your sight. I do not blame you for not seeing. I do not blame you for sitting down in the middle of life and saying that you have no strength left. I only come near, call your name, lift your eyes, and show you that there is still a source of water waiting. That source may be a sincere friend, a small opportunity, a healing conversation, a new idea in your work, a quiet recovery in your body, a forgiveness just beginning to open within your family, or simply a morning when you wake up and suddenly feel that your heart is not as heavy as it was yesterday. Do not despise small wells. My beloved child, for many souls have survived not because of great rivers, but because of one mouthful of grace at the right time. When I say that I am proud of you, I am also proud of the times you did not answer hardness of heart with hardness of heart. I know there are people who have hurt you. Words like stones thrown against the window of your soul. Silences that made you feel unworthy of being heard. But you still tried not to become cruel. You still tried to keep a patch of soft earth within your heart. You still secretly hoped that one day you could lay down the burden of resentment. That is precious in my sight. Jesus taught, "Blessed are the merciful," not because mercy is an easy road, but because mercy is the sign of a heart that has been touched by heaven. Do not understand forgiveness as pretending that the pain never happened. Forgiveness is handing judgment back to me. It is refusing to let the one who wounded you continue renting a dark room inside your soul. Perhaps you cannot do it at once. Perhaps you still tremble when you remember. Perhaps you still need time to recover. I know. And I will not rush you with cold impatience. I only sit beside you, like a patient father teaching his child to take one step at a time, until one day you realize that you have walked out of the prison of bitterness without even noticing. Then, amid your worries about the future. Remember that I am not only the God of yesterday or today, I am also the one who has entered tomorrow before you arrive there. You fear things that have not yet happened. Fear illness. And fear losing your job. Fear loneliness. Fear your children taking the wrong path. Fear your aging parents growing weak. Fear doors closing. Fear reaching a certain age while your dreams are still unfinished. But my child, tomorrow is not an abandoned land you must enter alone. When the people of Israel stood before the Red Sea, with the enemy behind them and deep waters ahead, they thought their story had reached its end, but where human eyes see only a dead end, I can open a path. I may not always part the sea in the way you imagine, but I always know how to lead you through what seems impossible to cross. So do not live tomorrow's suffering before that day has come. Jesus said, each day has enough trouble of its own, so that you would not borrow the darkness of the future and spread it over the light of today. Do what you can do today. Live uprightly. Care for your body. Love those near you. Manage what I have entrusted to you. Pray with a truthful heart, and then leave the rest in my hands. There is a holy maturity that I am quietly building within you, not noisy like worldly success, but enduring like roots, growing deep beneath the soil. In the past, you may have prayed to me only so that everything would become easier, faster, more favorable. But little by little, you are learning to pray for a heart that knows peace, even amid what is not yet easy. Patience amid what has not yet come quickly. Faithfulness amid what has not yet shown results. That is not the failure of faith, but the depth of faith, just as Job, amid loss, sometimes understood nothing, yet still tried to stand before me with a truthful soul. You too have the right to bring your questions before me. I am not afraid of your questions. I am only pained when you carry those questions into loneliness instead of bringing them to me. Tell me even the things you dare not tell anyone else. Sigh. Father, I am tired. Sigh. Father, I am afraid. Sigh. Father, I do not understand. And in that honesty, you will see that prayer is not the performance of the strong, but the breath of a child who knows they have a father. Even the dreams you have buried deep because you feared disappointment, I have not forgotten. There are desires within you that do not come from arrogant ambition, but from seeds I placed in your soul. Perhaps you once wanted to build a family full of love, to do work that carried meaning, to help others, to create, to learn, to heal, to go to new places, to become a gentler and braver version of yourself. Then life made you tired. Responsibilities pulled you down, and failures caused you to shrink. But my beloved child, a seed buried beneath the ground is not a forgotten seed. When the time comes, I can call Lazarus out of the tomb, and I can also call the beautiful parts of you that seem dead to step out of the darkness. What I need from you is not perfect strength, but a little willingness. Roll away the small stone you are able to roll. Open a new page. Write the first line. Send an apology. Begin caring for your health again. Learn one more thing. Reset your budget. Pray 1 minute longer. As for the rest, grace will meet you on the road. My presence also wants to touch the way you look at yourself in the mirror. Too many times you have looked at your body with harsh eyes, looked at your face through the standards of the world, looked at age as an enemy, looked at signs of weariness as proof that you are no longer worthy of being loved. But my child, I do not look at you as an object that must always be new, always perfect, always radiant in order to be chosen. I look at you as a work fashioned by my hands, as a garden with seasons of blooming and seasons of resting soil. As a temple being restored day by day, wrinkles may be maps of the times you have laughed, cried, and sacrificed. Scars may be testimonies that you have survived. Days of weakness may teach you humility and tenderness toward others who are also in pain. Do not insult my work by calling it worthless. Learn to bless the eyes that have seen so much, the hands that have labored, the feet that have carried you through many seasons, the heart that has been wounded and yet still beats. You are the temple of God, and those words are not meant for a body without marks, but for you, exactly as you are today. From tenderness toward yourself, you will learn to be more tender toward others. You will realize that many people out there are also walking inside their own locked rooms, even though in daylight they still smile and speak as usual. Someone in your family needs a kind word more than a long lecture. A child needs a trusting gaze more than another comparison. A spouse needs to hear that they are not alone. Aging parents need to be listened to even when their stories repeat themselves. A difficult coworker may in fact be carrying a fear they cannot put into words. I am not telling you to carry all the pain of the world, because your shoulders were not created to replace me. But I invite you to become a small lamp. Jesus said, "Let your light shine before others." And that light is often not something grand, but kindness at the right moment, wise silence, a quiet prayer for someone who irritates you, a hand extended when another person thinks no one sees them. When you are healed, you do not live only for yourself. Your life becomes a testimony that love can cause a person to be born anew. There will be times when I teach you through nature, because this world is also an open book written by my finger. Look at the bird flying across the sky, and remember that freedom does not mean there is no wind, but knowing how to lean upon the wind to rise higher. Look at the tree in the yard shedding its leaves, and understand that letting go is not always loss. Many times, it is preparation for a new season of green. Look at the river that is not hurried, and yet still finds its way to the sea, so that you may learn that your life does not have to be noisy in order to have direction. Look at the grain of wheat that falls to the earth and dies, as Jesus said, so that it may bear much fruit. And you will understand that some old things within you must be laid down, so that a wider life may be born. I place these lessons around you not so that you would worship creation, but so that through creation you would recognize the care of the Creator. The sun does not ask whether you were perfect yesterday before it rises. Rain does not fall only on deserving roofs. My grace is the same, always finding its way to you with a generosity you cannot buy. If tonight you are still carrying shame over old sins, come closer to me instead of running away. Sin likes to make you hide in the dark, but my love calls you into the light. When the woman caught in sin was dragged before Jesus, the crowd held stones, while he bent down and wrote on the ground. Then he said, "Let the one among you who is without sin be the first to throw a stone." Do you see? I do not deny the truth, but I do not allow truth to be turned into a weapon that kills a soul. And after the stones fell from the hands of the accusers, Jesus opened a new path for that woman. Neither do I condemn you, my beloved child. Mercy is not a permit for you to keep destroying yourself, but the hand that lifts you up so you can live differently. Do not define your life by its darkest chapter. Do not think that because you have gone wrong, you can no longer be called my beloved child. Repentance is not sinking into shame. It is turning your face toward the Father's house. And the Father's house, do you know, never lacks room for you. Perhaps the world has made you used to the feeling that you must fight for a place. Prove yourself useful in order to be kept. Always remain strong, so you will not be abandoned. But in my house, you are not a hired servant trying to earn a corner to stand in. You are my child. The prodigal son had not even finished reciting his confession before his father embraced him. The finest robe was placed on him. A ring was put on his hand. Sandals were put on his feet, not because that child had erased his past, but because fatherly love was greater than the past. So it is with you. When you return after days of distance, I do not make you stand outside on the porch long enough to pay the price. I embrace you first, and that love will teach you how to live anew. Many people think severity is what changes the soul, but I tell you, it is the kindness of God that leads people into deep conversion. From this room, I also want you to look again at the way you use your words. Your words can be cool water or consuming fire, can build up or tear down, can become a wound or healing oil. Begin with yourself. Stop cursing your own life with phrases such as, I am nothing. Nothing will ever get better. I always fail. Those words do not come from me. I called light out of darkness when I said, let there be light. You too must learn to speak words that open the door for light. Sigh. I am learning. Sigh. There is still hope for me. Sigh. The Father is with me. Sigh. Today I will take one small step, not because words are magic, but because words can turn your soul toward my truth instead of the whispers of despair. Then, with others, choose gracious words whenever you can. A gentle sentence can soften a hard day. An encouraging word can keep someone from giving up. An apology can reopen the road home. When the journey is still long, remember that I do not ask you to understand the entire map. Many times, I give you only enough light for the next step. The people of Israel in the desert received manna day by day, not a storehouse for a lifetime, so that they would learn to trust my daily care. You too often want to know everything, be certain of everything, control everything, because you think that is what safety means. But there is a safety deeper than control, and that is surrender. Surrender is not giving up, it is doing your part in peace and allowing me to do the part only I can do. Today, you may not know what next year will look like, but you can live faithfully in this hour. You may not know how every financial problem will be untangled, but you can begin with truth, disciplina, and wisdom. You may not know how your family will be healed, but you can choose not to add a new wound today. You may not know when your mind will feel completely light again, but you can open the door for one ray of light to enter. And then, when you feel small, remember that I often do great things through small things. A sling in David's hand faced Goliath. A little oil and flour in the widow of Zarephath's house did not run out during the days of famine. 5 loaves and 2 fish in the hands of a child became a meal for the crowd. Do you see? The question has never been whether you have little or much, but whether that little is placed into my hands. Do not say, I only have a little strength. Place that little strength into my hands. Do not say, I only have a weak prayer. Offer that prayer to me. Do not say, I only have a small room, an ordinary life, a heart with many wounds. Let me touch those very things. I do not need you to become someone else before I begin working within you. I begin with you as you are, and then grace transforms you from within. Perhaps later, when you look back on this night, you will understand that this was not merely a moment of comfort, but a sacred milestone, the place where you began to believe that you have not been forgotten. There are encounters with me that happen amid loud songs, but there are also encounters that happen in a very quiet breath inside an empty room. Jacob of old slept on the road while fleeing, using a stone as his pillow, his heart full of uncertainty. And yet, in a dream, he saw heaven opened and angels ascending and descending. When he awoke, he said, Surely the Lord is in this place. And I did not know it. My beloved child, that sentence can also become your awakening. The Lord is in this room. though many times you did not know it. The Lord is in the ordinary days you thought were only endurance. The Lord is in the very season of life you thought was too tangled to become holy ground. I do not wait for you to arrive at a perfect place. I turn the place where you are into a place of encounter. Therefore, let my pride in you become new strength, not so that you may become arrogant, but so that you may stand upright in dignity. When you know that the Father is proud of you, you do not need to chase every false applause. When you know you are loved, you do not need to sell your soul in order to be accepted. When you know that I am in your room, you do not need to fear the darkness as though it were the owner of the house. Darkness is only a stranger passing through. My light is your inheritance. Rise gently. Open your heart to the new day. Let what has passed be placed into mercy. Let what is coming be placed into providence. Let the present become the place where you meet me. And if tonight you can do only one thing, then place your hand upon your chest. Breathe deeply, and listen to me speak in the silence. You are not your mistakes, not your fears, not the words others have placed upon you. You are my beloved child. After all, what I want to sow into your soul is not merely a fleeting warmth, but a truth that can carry you through many seasons of life. I am with you. When you rejoice, I rejoice with you, like a father watching his child run beneath the sunlight. When you weep, I catch every tear as though it were a pearl from a heart that still knows how to remain tender. When you work, I give strength to your hands. When you rest, I guard your soul. When you make mistakes, I call you back home. When you are wounded, I bind you up. When you do not know the way, I become your shepherd. When you think you have reached the end of the road, I open a new turn before you. And when you think no one is proud of you, remember that your Father in heaven is looking at you with eyes gentler than any gaze you have ever known. I am proud of you, not because you have completed everything, but because you are still allowing love to call you awake. I am here, in your room, in your heart, in every breath you take, and I will not leave. Rest in that truth, my beloved child. And tomorrow, when the light touches your door, you will step out not as someone left behind, but as someone blessed, upheld, and sent forth to carry a little of my peace into this world. And when my words have just touched the deepest place in your heart, do not rise too quickly, as though tenderness were only a passing moment, and you must immediately return to your own battle. Stay a little longer in this presence, for I do not merely pass through your room like a hurried guest. I remain as the one who said, "Behold, I am with you always, even to the end of the age." Do you understand? Every day means both the days when you pray fervently and the days when you have no words left to speak. Every day means both when you put on beautiful clothes and step outside with a confident smile, and when you sit on the edge of your bed, hair tangled, eyes weary, your heart heavy as stone. I do not choose to love you only in favorable seasons, nor do I withdraw when your life becomes messy. My love is not like a lamp you turn on and off with a switch. That love is like the sun, even when clouds cover it. It is still burning bright, even when you cannot see it. It remains faithful, lighting the way home for you. So, my beloved child, when you feel unworthy of being cherished, let that very feeling become the place where I bend down to you. For a bruised reed he will not break, and a smoldering wick he will not quench. In the silence now covering this room, I want you to remember a woman in the wilderness named Hagar. She was not among a righteous crowd, not standing in a place of honor. With no one to protect her and no clear future before her, she had only tears, her little child, and a dry road that seemed to lead to the very end of despair. But right there, In that desolate place, when she thought she had been forgotten, I saw her, and she called me the God who sees me, my child. That is one of the tenderest names a suffering soul has ever uttered. I am the one who sees you. I see you in this small room. I see you when you check your phone, hoping for a comforting message. Yet the screen remains silent. I see you when you calculate each expense, trying to stay calm before numbers that do not know compassion. I see you when you smile at others so they will not worry, then turn away with an unnamed sadness. I see you when no one calls, no one asks. No one realizes that beneath that ordinary appearance is a soul trying to hold on to the light. And because I see you, you are no longer invisible. From that story, let your heart understand that the wilderness is not always a place of abandonment. Sometimes the wilderness is where my voice becomes clearer because all other noise has quieted. Perhaps your life is passing through a dry place. Finances are not enough. Health is not strong. Work is not settled. Love is not healed. Family is not at peace. The mind is not calm. You look around and think there is no spring of water anywhere. But remember, when Hagar wept, I opened her eyes to see that the well had already been there many times. What you need is not for me to create an entirely new miracle, but for me to open your eyes to see that grace has long been placed near you, a friend who is still sincere, a small opportunity not yet extinguished, a skill you can use again, a simple meal, a morning that still has sunlight, a humble prayer enough to soften your heart. Do not despise the small wells in the wilderness, for those little things can keep you alive through a long season. Then, I want to touch the weariness in your mind, where many thoughts keep circling like lost birds in the night. You have tried to control everything, tried to predict every danger, tried to prepare for every wound. And because of that, your soul is exhausted, even when your body is sitting still. My beloved child, I did not create you to become a lifelong watchman of fear. I spoke through the psalm, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want." Not so you would deny responsibility, but so you would stop believing that all your life depends only on your own strength. You are a sheep in my pasture, not one abandoned outside the storm without a shepherd. When you lie down, let me guard what you cannot guard. When you work, work with faithfulness, but do not let the outcome become a chain around your neck. When you love, love with an open heart, but do not try to play the savior for everyone. I am the Savior. You are the beloved child, invited to cooperate, not forced to carry the entire universe upon your shoulders. And from there, look again at the wounds in your relationships with eyes washed in mercy. There are people who have hurt you, words that have become thorns in your memory, separations that made you feel as though part of the room of your life had been left empty. I am not telling you to pretend nothing happened. Forgiveness is not covering a still bleeding wound with a white cloth and calling it peace. Forgiveness is allowing me to step between you and that memory, letting my hand protect you from the poison of bitterness that would damage your future. When Jesus said, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do," those words did not make the cross less painful, but they opened a door for a love greater than violence. You too will have small crosses in family, in friendship, in work, in the places where you once placed your trust. I do not push you to be healed in one day. I only invite you each day to place one more piece of pain into my hands, so that what once cracked you open will no longer have the power to define you. If you are a parent, or if you are caring for someone weaker than yourself, I know there are moments when you feel your heart divided into many pieces. One piece for your children, one piece for your parents, one piece for work, one piece for money, one piece for nameless duties, and by the end of the day, you wonder whether any piece is still left for yourself. My beloved child, I see that quiet sacrifice. When you wake early to prepare things for others, when you give up something you enjoy so your family can have something they need, when you patiently repeat a lesson to a child who has not yet understood, when you embrace a loved one while you yourself also need to be held. I see in you a reflection of self-giving love. But remember, even Jesus withdrew to a quiet place to pray. You do not weaken your family when you know how to rest in me. On the contrary, from that holy rest, you will return to them with a love that is less irritable, less depleted, less shaped by heavy obligation, and more filled with the fragrance of grace. When you think of work, I want you to distinguish between blessed diligence and slavery, disguised as ambition. Work is a beautiful thing, for from the beginning I placed humanity in the garden to cultivate and care for it. But work must not be allowed to swallow your soul. You are not merely productivity, not merely results, not merely a paycheck, not merely lines of evaluation. You are one who bears the image of God. If today you are overlooked, compared, pressured, or swept into a race that makes you forget who you are, listen as I remind you. What does it profit a person to gain the whole world and lose his soul? I do not say this to make you fear success, but so you will know how to put success in its proper place. The most beautiful success is the success that does not make you lose your gentleness. The most beautiful talent is the talent that becomes a gift to life. The most beautiful money is money earned with integrity and used to nurture life, not to build a throne for pride. Perhaps you are beginning again at an age when you thought you should already have been settled. You feel ashamed because you must learn again, start again, save again, trust again, heal again. But my child, in my eyes, beginning again is not a sign of failure. Many times, it is a form of resurrection. Unless a grain of wheat falls into the ground and dies, it remains alone, but if it dies, it bears much fruit. There are old versions of you that need to be laid down, not because they are worthless, but because I am preparing you for a new season of fruitfulness. Do not despise the detour. Israel passed through the wilderness before entering the promised land, not because I did not know the shorter road, but because there were slaves within them that needed to be healed before they could live as free people. You too have invisible chains, fear of being abandoned, fear of not being enough, fear of losing control, fear of being judged by others. And on this long road, I am not only leading you to a better place outwardly, I am also making you a freer person inwardly. On the days when your body is tired, treat yourself with the mercy I showed the prophet Elijah. He once courageously faced fire from heaven, yet afterward he sat beneath a broom tree, so exhausted that he asked to die. I did not scold him for being weak. I did not give him a long sermon about courage. I sent an angel to touch him, gave him bread and water, and let him sleep. Do you see? Sometimes the holiest thing you need before you can hear my voice is rest. A meal, a breath. I do not separate your soul from your body as though the body were only a secondary thing. I love all of you. So when you care for your health, when you go for a checkup, when you move gently, when you choose sleep instead of tormenting yourself with worry, you are responding to my love by caring for the temple I have entrusted to you. Do not call rest laziness if it helps you return to life with a brighter soul. Then, when you look out upon nature, let the smallest created things preach the gospel to you. A young leaf does not rush to prove that it is an entire forest. A flower does not stay awake all night, worrying whether it will be beautiful enough tomorrow. A river does not hate itself because it has bends. Those very bends make it gentle and able to embrace the land. I have said, consider the lilies of the field, how they neither toil nor spin, and yet their beauty still softens the human heart. You are the same. You do not need to strain yourself to exhaustion in order to earn the right to exist. In the rhythm of creation there is an invitation: grow. But do not panic, bear fruit. But do not tear up your own roots, reach toward the light. But do not despise the dark soil that has nourished you. Every harvest has its season. And I, the one who made the seasons, have not forgotten yours. There is one more thing I want you to hear deeply. You are not called only to survive. You are called to become light. Not a dazzling light that blinds others, but a gentle lamp placed on a stand, enough to help someone not stumble in the night. When Jesus said, "You are the light of the world," he did not say it to perfect people. He said it to disciples who still had many limitations, who still argued, still feared, still did not fully understand the way of the cross. So do not wait until you are completely unwounded before you live kindly. Do not wait until you are wealthy before you share. Do not wait until your family is perfect before you sow a word of peace. Do not wait until your mind is always steady before you support someone who is trembling. Your light may be small, but if it is placed in my hands, it is enough to illuminate one step of the road for someone else. A message asking how someone is. An intercessory prayer. A smile that is not false. An act of justice. A moment when you choose not to repay evil with evil. All of these are small rays of light entering the world. And as you learn to be light, be careful of the voice that makes you hate yourself. There are voices that borrow the shape of perfectionism in order to pull you away from me. They say you have not prayed well enough, not loved well enough, not sacrificed enough, not been pure enough to be near God. But I want you to distinguish the prompting of the Spirit from the condemnation of darkness. The Spirit corrects and still leaves hope. Darkness accuses and leaves despair. The Spirit says, "Rise. I am with you." Darkness says, "Lie there." There is no way back. When the woman caught in sin was brought before Jesus, the stones in the hands of the crowd represented a world that prefers condemnation over healing. But he said, "Neither do I condemn you. Go. And from now on, sin no more." Do you see? Mercy does not tolerate darkness, but neither does it crush the person who needs a road home. I will correct you, but my correction always bears the shape of a love that wants you to live. Perhaps within your heart there are still prayers that have waited for a very long time. You pray for a loved one to return, for an illness to ease, for a professional door to open, for peace in your mind, for a home, a child, a life companion, a deliverance from fear. You have waited so long that sometimes you barely dare to hope strongly anymore, because you are afraid of hoping and then being hurt again. I understand. Abraham also waited. Sarah laughed when she heard the promise because old age seemed to have closed every possibility. But I am the one who can cause life to sprout where people believe there is only barrenness left. This does not mean every prayer will arrive in exactly the form you imagine. But not one drop of trust falls before me and is forgotten. Some prayers become outward miracles. Some prayers become inward strength. Some prayers do not immediately change the circumstances, but they change you into someone deep enough not to be destroyed by the circumstances. Therefore, when you look back on your losses, do not ask only what you have lost. Let me gently show you what still remains, and what is being born from that very ground. After the flood, Noah stepped out of the ark, not into a world exactly the same as before. Some things had passed away. Some landscapes had changed. But in the sky, I placed the rainbow as a sign of covenant. You too have gone through your own floods, seasons of tears, crees, events that swept away what you thought was secure. I do not take lightly what was lost, but I want you to lift your eyes to the small rainbow I have placed in your life, a new wisdom, a deeper compassion for those who suffer, an ability to discern what is truly precious, a heart less arrogant and more willing to rely on grace. Loss is not what I desire for you, but even within loss, I can still sow a covenant sign that love has not ended. When you feel lonely on the journey of faith, remember the two disciples on the road to Emmaus. They walked with sorrowful faces, speaking of what had happened as though hope had been crucified and sealed in a tomb. The risen Jesus walked beside them, but they did not recognize him. My child, there are days when I too walk beside you and you do not yet recognize me, because your eyes are still blurred by disappointment. I am in the stranger who says the right word at the right time. I am in the passage of Scripture that suddenly becomes alive. I am in the small peace that appears even before the circumstances change. I am in the meal, in the broken bread, in ordinary things that suddenly open the eyes of the soul. When the two disciples recognized him, they said, "Were not our hearts burning within us along the way?" I also want to make your heart burn again, not with a short-lived excitement, but with a steady flame warm enough for you to keep walking. From that flame, learn to speak words of blessing over your own life. Do not wake up and curse the new day. Do not look in the mirror and speak words that wound the temple I created. Do not call the future dark when I am still the one who holds the dawn. Words can be seeds. Sow holy seeds. Today you are loved. Today you are guided. Today you will do small things with a great heart. Today you are not alone. Today grace is enough for you. Not because you want to deceive yourself, but because you choose to let my truth become greater than the noise of fear. When I created the world, I spoke and life appeared. You bear my image. So your words also have power to plant or to destroy. Use your words to bless your room, your body, your family, your work, your righteous plans, and even the parts of you that are still learning how to believe. If tonight you are still carrying guilt, bring it near to me instead of hiding it beneath the blanket of silence. Sin grows in darkness, but when it is brought before mercy, it gradually loses its power. You do not need to make yourself beautiful before me. I am not surprised by the stains on your garment. Remember, the prodigal son had not even finished reciting the confession he had prepared before the Father embraced him. The fine robe was placed upon him, not after he had proven himself long enough, but at the very moment he returned. A ring was placed on his hand, sandals on his feet, a feast prepared, because in the Father's house, returning is more precious than shame. Return in the same way. Do not let an old mistake make you think you no longer have a holy future. I do not call you by the name of your sin. I call you by the name of my beloved child. And when you have been held in mercy, let that mercy flow toward others. But do not confuse mercy with allowing yourself to be trampled on again and again. I teach you to love your enemies, but I also teach you to live in the wisdom of the light. Jesus is gentle, but he did not allow hypocrisy to turn the temple into a marketplace without speaking out. Therefore, learn to love with boundaries, to forgive while still protecting the peace I have given, to be humble without lowering your dignity, to serve without forgetting that you too are a child who needs care. There are doors you must open with courage, and there are doors you must close with wisdom. Not everyone who leaves your life is a loss. Sometimes that is how I create space for what is healthy to enter. Ask me in prayer, and I will teach you to discern which cross must be carried and which chain must be removed. My beloved child, as all these words settle, I want you to place your hand upon your heart and feel that it is still beating by my loving permission. Each beat is a call. You are being given another chance to live in the light. Not so you will panic and try to fix everything in one day, but so you will walk step by step as one who is being led. Today, choose one small thing. Drink water with gratitude. Tidy one corner of your room. Send a loving message. Apologize when needed. Turn off the noise that disturbs your soul. Read one verse of scripture and let it remain in you like a seed. Rest without condemning yourself. Small things done in love can become steps leading you out of the depths. I do not despise your small steps. A baby learning to walk falls many times and still brings joy to the Father. Not because the steps are perfect, but because the child is moving toward loving arms. So do not be afraid of this room anymore. Do not be afraid of the silence anymore. Do not be afraid of the empty spaces in the history of your life anymore. I am here, and where I am present, even the most ordinary room can become a holy place. The bed where you lie can become an altar of surrender. The desk where you work can become a field of faithfulness. The window you open can become an invitation for light to enter. The walls that once heard you cry will also hear you give thanks. And one day, when you look back, you will understand that I was not only proud of you at the end of the journey, I was proud of you in every day you learned to rise again. Every night you did not give up. Every minute you chose tenderness instead of turning to stone. Rest in that. My beloved child, I am here, closer than your breath, gentler than the night lamp, more enduring than every human promise. And my love for you will not leave this room, nor will it leave your soul, until you fully believe that you have been, or now, and forever will be the child I cherish. And just when you think my words have closed with the night, my love continues to whisper in your room like a lamp that never goes out. My beloved child, there are graces that do not come with a loud sound, but arrive like a gentle warmth upon your hand, like a pure thought passing quietly through your mind, like the feeling that even though today you do not yet understand everything, you can still lay your head down and rest in mercy. I want you to learn to look back on your life, not with eyes of condemnation, but with the eyes of a father bending down to read every page of your diary with compassion. There are pages stained with tears, pages written hastily in fear, pages you want to tear out because of shame. But I do not tear away your story. I preserve it, heal it, and turn even the lines you thought were out of rhythm into part of the sacred hymn of salvation. When the psalm says, "The Lord is near to the brokenhearted," do not hear that as a distant word meant for someone else. Hear it as my voice standing beside your bed, in this very room, telling you that I do not avoid your brokenness. I step into it, not carrying a rod of punishment, but carrying the fragrant oil of consolation, so that every broken piece within you may reflect light in a new way. You have passed through many days when you had to be strong on your own, and I know that strength can sometimes leave you exhausted. There are mornings when you walk out of your room with an ordinary face, while inside you there is an entire sea in turmoil. You work, answer messages, care for your family, earn money, keep promises, smile at others, and only when you return home do you allow yourself to breathe out deeply. I see the times you try not to trouble anyone with your sadness. I see you standing before the refrigerator not knowing what you want to eat, looking at your phone for a long time without knowing whom to call, longing to be held but fearing that you will become weak. My child, even the prophet Elijah, after seeing my power on Mount Carmel, once sat beneath the broom tree and asked to die because he was too tired. I did not rebuke him for lacking faith. I sent an angel to touch him and say, "Arise and eat." because before I spoke to him about his mission, I cared for his weary body. Therefore, when you are too tired to pray at length, begin with the smallest thing. Eat a little, drink a little, sleep a little. Open the door to let the air in, and allow me to touch you through those simple things. Faith does not despise the body. Grace also passes through a loaf of bread, a jar of water, sleep, and hands allowed to rest. From that place of weariness, I want to lead you into a gentler truth. You do not need to become worthy before you are loved. Remember the woman who had suffered from hemorrhages for 12 years. She had spent all her possessions, endured so much pain, and lived with the feeling of being separated from the community. Yet when she dared only to touch the fringe of Jesus' garment, healing power flowed out. He did not turn around to shame her before the crowd, but called her with a word full of restoration. Daughter, your faith has made you well. Do you see? Before the miracle was announced, her dignity had already been restored by the word daughter. I call you in the same way. Not failure, not the one who is too late, not the one who made mistakes, but my child, when you only have enough strength to brush lightly against the hem of hope, I still feel it. When your prayer is only a glance lifted upward, I still hear it. When your faith is as small as a mustard seed, I can still make it grow into shade for many people. Do not despise the small gestures of the soul, for in the kingdom of heaven, many great things begin with a very quiet touch. There will be times when you think about the future and your heart tightens, like someone walking in the desert who looks ahead and still sees no source of water. You fear next month, next year, the changes that have not yet come, the losses that could happen, the people who could leave, the opportunities that could slip away. But my beloved child, I do not place the entire desert on your shoulders for you to carry alone. I give manna day by day. The people of Israel in the wilderness had to learn that bread from heaven was not to be stored up with greedy fear, but received with trust each morning. This does not mean you should not prepare, save, or plan. I want you to be wise, but I do not want your preparation to become a prison of anxiety. Today has the grace of today. Tomorrow, when it comes, will have the grace of tomorrow. Jesus said, each day has enough trouble of its own, not to make your heart heavy, but to free you from living ahead inside hundreds of fears that have not happened. Let me teach you to live each day like one gathering manna. Bow down, receive, give thanks, and continue walking. There are matters in your heart related to money that you rarely dare to speak of because you fear being judged. You may fear not having enough to care for your family, fear that your parents will grow old while you still lack the means to repay their love, fear that your children will lack what is good, fear that one day sickness may come while your hands are empty. I do not take those worries lightly, because I know you live in a world of bills, prices, responsibilities, and very real pressures. But I want you to distinguish between holy diligence and slavery to fear. When you work honestly, I am with you. When you learn to manage money with awareness, I bless that wisdom. When you refuse dishonesty even though you are in need, I see your soul shine brighter than gold. The book of Proverbs reminds you that treasures gained by wickedness do not profit, but righteousness delivers from death. Therefore, do not sell your peace in exchange for things that can darken your soul. I can open doors in ways you have not imagined, send people to help, place new ideas within you, give you health to labor, and also teach you to live simply so you will not be swept away by desires that are never satisfied. Even so, even when you are lacking, I still want you to see that your life is not poor in grace. There is a kind of wealth that does not lie in the wallet, but in a heart that still knows gratitude, when you can still sense the fragrance of hot rice, still hear the sound of rain, still see sunlight falling upon the roof, still have someone to remember, a prayer to cling to, a day to begin again, then you are still standing among gifts that I have quietly placed around you. Do not misunderstand me. I am not telling you to romanticize hardship, nor am I telling you to smile before every lack. I only want you not to let lack lie to you by saying you have been forgotten. The widow of Zarephath had only a handful of flour and a little oil left. Yet in her small obedience, the jar of flour was not spent, and the jug of oil did not fail. That story is not a promise that your life will always overflow in the way you imagine, but a reminder that when I enter the smallest portion of what you have, that very portion can become the place where my faithfulness is revealed. And if what hurts you is not money but relationships, I also sit beside you in that pain. There are people you love but no longer know how to speak to, so they will understand. There are separations that make no noise, but happen quietly through days with fewer questions, fewer glances, fewer prayers for one another. There are wounds in the family that do not bleed outwardly but make your soul ache each time you remember. I do not rush to tell you to forget immediately, to be strong immediately, or to forgive as though you were never hurt. Forgiveness is not erasing the truth, nor is it allowing evil to continue harming you. Forgiveness is entrusting the final judgment to me, so that your heart does not have to become a prison for resentment. When Jesus on the cross said, "Father, forgive them," he did not say the pain was not real. He opened a path where love could be greater than violence. You too can walk that path step by step, slowly, sometimes walking while crying. And I will not push you with severity, but will lift you with patience. In that healing, I want you to remember that you also need to forgive yourself. Many times you have returned in memory to old mistakes, blaming yourself for saying what should not have been said, trusting the wrong person, missing an opportunity, hurting someone, or failing to protect yourself at the right time. You place yourself before an inner court and sentence yourself day after day, while I have already stood many times at the door of your heart with an invitation to peace. Look at Mary Magdalene on the morning of the resurrection. She went to the tomb in tears, thinking everything had ended. But Jesus simply called her name, Mary. One call turned a graveyard into a garden of encounter, turned tears into mission. I also call your name in the places where you thought there was nothing left but the burial ground of memory. Not everything that has died within you has truly ended. There are hopes only waiting to hear my voice again so they may rise. And if I call you with love, do not continue calling yourself with contempt. Perhaps you have not realized it, but the room where you are sitting does not contain only sorrow. It also contains the seeds of the future. On that table there may be unfinished work, but it may also be the place where a calling is growing. On that bookshelf there may be books you have not finished reading, but they are also a reminder that your mind can still expand. In that corner of the room there may be a few scattered things, but they are also a sign that you are still living, still moving, still have an ordinary life to care for. I want you to look at everything with eyes washed in grace. A room does not need to be luxurious to become holy. The stable of Bethlehem was poor, yet the glory of God lay in a manger. The home of Mary and Martha in Bethany was not a palace, yet the Lord came there to rest. The room where the disciples locked themselves in fear became the place where resurrection peace was given. So your room, though small, simple, and sometimes messy, I can still become a chapel if you allow me to be present there, from that small place. I want you to care for your mind as one tends a garden. Do not allow every thought that passes through to take root. There are thoughts that do not come from me. the thought that you are useless, that no one needs you, that every effort is meaningless, that the future holds only darkness. Such thoughts are like weeds. If you feed them with belief, they will cover the holy flowers. Learn to bring each thought before my light. When the sentence, "You are not good enough," echoes within you, place beside it, my word, "You are precious in my sight." When fear says, "Everything will collapse," remember the words of Jesus on the stormy sea, "Take heart, it is I, do not be afraid." When old sin says, "You cannot return," remember that the good thief, with only one plea, heard the promise of paradise. Your mind needs to be nourished by truth, not by voices that wear down the soul. But do not be too harsh with yourself on the days when your mind has not yet found peace. Peace does not always come at once like a door suddenly opening. Often it comes like dawn, very slowly, very gently, little by little. You may believe and tremble at the same time, hope and fear at the same time, pray and cry at the same time. I do not see that mixture as falsehood. The Father in the Gospel said to Jesus, "I believe, help my unbelief." That prayer is beautiful because it is honest. Faith is not always a strong song. Sometimes, faith is a trembling whisper that still turns toward me. If today you can only believe a little, bring that little to me. I do not extinguish the smoldering wick. I do not break the bruised reed. I know how to make what is fragile live again. When you step out of your room and meet the world again, carry with you the tenderness I am placing in your heart. Do not let a hard world make you hard. Do not let hurried people make you forget to walk in kindness. There are people you meet each day who also carry secret rooms within their hearts, who also have sleepless nights, unpaid bills, fractured relationships, illnesses left unspoken, and prayers no one hears. When you look at them with mercy, you become a small window through which my light can pass. A kind word from you may be the angel's bread for an Elijah who is exhausted. A message asking how someone is may be the calling of a Mary who is weeping beside the tomb. A moment of patience in the family may be the new wine at a wedding feast where joy is almost gone. You do not need to save the whole world in one day. You only need to let love save one moment through you. Ava so. I also want you to remember that kindness does not mean you must be emptied for everyone. Jesus loved the crowds, healed the sick, and taught the people. But he also withdrew to the mountain to pray. If my only begotten Son still set aside time to be alone with the Father, then you too are allowed to rest without feeling guilty. Some healthy boundaries are not selfishness, but the way to protect the lamp I have entrusted to you. A lamp constantly beaten by the wind will struggle to burn brightly for long. Learn to say no to what pulls you away from peace. Learn to be silent before arguments that only produce more thorns. Learn to choose relationships that help your soul grow in truth. I do not call you to become someone who pleases everyone. I call you to become someone faithful to the light. In the days when you care for others, do not forget that you too are someone who needs care. If you are a parent, remember that you are not only the provider, the teacher, the one who worries and arranges everything, you are also my child. If you are the one carrying the family, remember that your shoulders were not created to replace the throne of God. If you are the one who always listens to other people's sorrow, allow me to listen to you. If you are the one who often advises others to hope, allow yourself to be given hope. In my house, the caregiver is also cared for. The strong one is also embraced. The one who supports others is also supported. Jesus washed the feet of his disciples to teach that true love knows how to bend low. But Peter also had to learn to let himself be washed. You are the same. Do not only give grace away, but learn to receive grace when I bend down beside you. There are times when I will lead you through silence, not because I am absent, but because some things can only mature in silence. The seed does not hear applause beneath the soil, but it still cracks open, still sends out roots, still prepares for the day it rises. Do not fear the hidden season. Do not hastily conclude that you have been forgotten simply because no one sees you yet. Nazareth was quiet for many years before Jesus entered his public ministry. Those silent years were not meaningless. They were the place where obedience, labor, prayer, and ordinary life were sanctified. Perhaps you too are living your own Nazareth years. Not glamorous, not widely known, only repeated work, small duties, meals, cleaning, money to calculate, silent prayers. But I am there. I make your ordinary life into an altar. If you place love upon it, then one day you will look back and understand that I saved you many times through things you once thought were delays. A closed door kept you from a road that was not meant for you. Someone leaving created space for you to learn your worth again. A rejection led you toward a healthier choice. A season of loneliness taught you to hear my voice more clearly. Illness made you cherish your body and your breath. Lack taught you gratitude. Tears softened the soil of your heart so new seeds could grow. I do not cause every suffering, but I have the power to make all things work together for good for those who love me. As St. Paul reminded you, you do not need to understand everything today. You only need to hold my hand today. Understanding may come later. Trust can begin right now. Therefore, my beloved child, as you sit in that room tonight, try to look around once more with different eyes. That wall has heard your wordless prayers. That bed has supported your body through so many long nights. That window has allowed light to enter every morning, whether you noticed it or not. And right in the midst of all these ordinary things, I am present. Let this room become the place where you stop fighting with yourself. Let it become the place where you learn to say, "Today I tried, and my Father knows it." Let it become the place where you lay down burdens that do not belong to you. Let it become the place where you receive your true name again, beloved child. You are guarded. You are forgiven. You are guided. You are blessed. I will not promise you that tomorrow everything will be easy in the way you desire, but I promise that you will not step into tomorrow alone. I will be in your first breath when you wake. In the clarity, you need to make decisions. In the patience, you need to face your family. In the strength, you need to work. In the temperance, you need to manage money. In the tenderness, you need to care for your body. In the watchfulness, you need to protect your mind. And in the grace, you need to keep your soul turned toward the light. When you are weak, lean on me. When you are joyful, thank me. When you are lost, call me. When you succeed, remember me. When you fail, return to me. There is no season of your life that lies beyond my reach. And now, listen deeply to this word, as though I were speaking not to the crowd, but to you alone in your small room. I am proud of you. I am proud that you have lived one more day in hope. I am proud that you have not let pain turn you into a cruel person. I am proud that you still want to do what is right, even when what is right is often harder. I am proud that you have tried to love your family, care for your body, guard your mind from despair, work with honesty, and seek me in the quiet hours. You do not need to be perfect to be held by me. You do not need to be free of every speck of dust before you may enter my house. Come as you are, because precisely as you come, I will wash your feet, lift up your face, clothe you in a new garment, and place again in your heart the song that fear tried to steal. When you sleep, sleep as one who is guarded. When you wake, wake as one sent forth in love. When you cry, cry in my arms. When you laugh, let that laughter become thanksgiving. When you do small work, do it with a great heart. When you face great things, remember that my grace is greater. And if darkness once again returns to knock at the door of your room, do not panic. Tell the darkness that your Father is here. Tell worry that it is no longer allowed to rule your soul. Tell the past that it has been placed beneath mercy. Tell the future that it rests in the hands of the one who has called you by name. And tell yourself that you are loved, not because you have done enough, but because my love chose you from the beginning. And there will come a dawn when you realize that your heart feels lighter, not because every question has been answered, but because you are no longer asking them in loneliness. You will realize that I have used this room as a small sanctuary to restore you. On the nights when you thought you were merely surviving, I was quietly healing you. In the moments when you placed your hand upon your chest and tried to breathe, I was holding the rhythm of life within you. Those scattered prayers, in truth, rose to me like incense. Those tears that fell upon your pillow, in truth, were counted by me like pearls from a faithful soul. My beloved child, do not fear the journey ahead. The one who was with you in the silent room will also be with you on the noisy crossroads. The one who spoke peace to you in the night will also become light for you in the day. And until you understand all things fully in glory, keep holding this word and live by it. I am here. I love you. I am proud of you. And nothing can separate you from my love in Christ. When you have heard my voice in that silent room, do not be quick to think that my presence is only a tender moment that disappears when the dawn draws back the curtains. No, my beloved child, I do not come to you like a passing breeze and then leave you alone before the demands of a new day. I remain in the pale light of early morning, in the sound of your feet touching the floor, in the clothes you put on, in the meal you prepare, in the messages you still hesitate to answer, in the work you do not yet know how to begin, and even in the old worry you thought had fallen asleep but wakes up with you again. I want you to understand that my love does not seek you only in the moments when you pray fervently. It seeks you also when you are washing dishes, making the bed, going to work, caring for your child, calculating every expense, waiting for medical results, looking at a crowded schedule, or simply sitting in silence before a screen because your mind is too full. As the psalm has proclaimed, the Lord is near to the brokenhearted. I do not stand far away observing you from the outside, but I draw near precisely where your heart is cracked, so that those painful fragments may no longer be sharp enough to make you bleed, but may gradually become windows through which light can enter. And when you step out of your room, remember that the room does not close behind you as a place whose blessing has ended. It becomes a small altar in your memory, the place where you heard me say that I am proud of you, so that whenever the world outside makes you forget, you can return within your heart and hear the Father's voice again. Then there are mornings when you look into the mirror and do not recognize your own courage, because you often see only tired eyes, unfinished things, a body not yet as you hoped it would be, age, wrinkles, weight, illness, sadness, anxiety, and the marks of a life that has endured much. But my child, I do not look at you the way you look at yourself on the days when your heart is harsh. I look at you as the potter looks at the clay being shaped again upon the wheel, not hating the clay because it is still soft, not throwing away the vessel because it has not yet taken its perfect form. In the book of Jeremiah, the potter reshaped the spoiled vessel into another vessel that was good in his eyes. And that story is not only about a nation, it is also a whisper for your soul. I can reshape what you thought was ruined. No age is too late to become gentler. No wound is too old to be touched. No season of life is useless before me. If your body is weak, let that weakness teach you to treat yourself with greater compassion. If your mind is heavy, let that heaviness become an invitation to lay down part of the burden. If your heart is afraid, let that fear no longer be your master, but only a child who needs to be held in my arms. You do not have to fight against yourself in order to be loved by me. You only need to let me enter the places you still hide. And there I will gently say to you, this, too, is a place where I can make something new. As the day continues to open and responsibilities begin to call your name, perhaps you will again hear familiar voices in your mind. You must be faster. You must be better. You must earn more. You must care for everyone more perfectly. You must not make mistakes. You must not be tired. You must not need anyone. But my beloved child, that is not my voice. My voice does not crush you beneath the heavy stone of must. My voice invites you to live faithfully in each small thing, with a heart that is lifted up, not suffocated. When Jesus said, "My yoke is easy, and my burden is light," he did not say your life would no longer have responsibilities. But he taught that responsibility carried in love is different from responsibility dragged along in fear. You can work hard and still remain at peace. You can care for your finances without worshiping money. You can love your family without forgetting that you also need rest. You can care for others without turning yourself into an empty well. Remember the story of Martha and Mary. Martha was busy serving, while Mary sat at the teacher's feet and listened. I do not despise Martha's service, but I remind you that the better portion is a heart that knows how to pause before my presence. Therefore, in the midst of your work, make small spaces for your soul to breathe. A short prayer before opening your computer. A word of gratitude before a meal. 1 minute of silence before answering in anger. A gentle look toward yourself when everything is not yet finished. These things do not slow you down. They keep you from losing yourself along the way. And if today you are worried about money, about the future, about expenses that must be paid while your income still feels fragile, I want to sit beside you in that very truth. Not to tell you to pretend that everything is nothing to worry about, but so that you will not let worry become chains around your soul. I know the feeling of having to count every coin, the hidden shame when you cannot give your loved ones what you wish you could, the pressure when you see others living in abundance while you must weigh every choice carefully. But do not let lack make you believe you are worth less. Jesus was placed in a manger, not in a palace of gold and splendor. He grew up in the humble household of labor in Nazareth. He used 5 loaves and 2 fish from a child to feed the crowd. Do you see? I do not need perfect abundance in order to work a miracle. I can begin with the small portion you already have, a skill you have not valued, a humble opportunity, a person who supports you at the right time, an idea that suddenly arrives, a day when you decide to live with greater discipline, a moment when you say no to wastefulness, a choice to remain honest even when you need money. Let wisdom guide you, but do not let fear rule over you. Work, learn, save, sow, seek a path, but keep this word in your heart like a lamp. Seek first the kingdom of God, and what is necessary will be placed in the right order of grace. From those outward worries, I also want to lead you into the inner garden, where your mind has often been swept through by storms. There are thoughts you did not invite, yet they still come, like black birds resting on the roof at dusk. There are old memories you thought you had forgotten, but suddenly a sound, a scent, a sentence touches them lightly, and you fall into a sadness for which you were not prepared. You have blamed yourself, asking why you still worry after praying, why you still fear after believing, why your heart still aches, even though you want to forgive. But my child, healing is a journey, not a command. I do not stand before you with a clock to measure whether you heal quickly or slowly. I walk with you as Jesus walked with the 2 disciples on the road to Emmaus. When they left Jerusalem in sorrow, thinking that all hope had been crucified, he did not rebuke them for being disappointed. He walked beside them, asked what they were discussing, listened to their sadness, and then slowly opened the scriptures until their hearts began to burn within them. I do the same with you. I may not remove every pain in 1 second, but I will walk with you long enough that one day you will realize your heart has grown warm again. Your eyes have become brighter, and the road you thought was the road of giving up was actually the place where I was quietly explaining love to you. Perhaps in your room there are still echoes of mistakes, things you wish you had never said, decisions you wish you had never chosen, roads you once walked because you were lonely, because you did not understand, because you were wounded, because you wanted to be loved even for a moment. The accuser likes to use your past as chains, repeating it again and again so that you think you will forever be defined by the worst thing you have ever done. But my beloved child, I do not call you by the name of your sin. I call you by the name of love. The woman caught in sin was dragged before the crowd, placed among stones and condemning eyes. But Jesus bent down and wrote on the ground, then said, "Let the one among you who is without sin be the first to throw a stone." When everyone had gone, he did not crush her with shame, but opened a new path for her. Neither do I condemn you. Hear that word deep within yourself, not as permission to return to darkness, but as a hand pulling you out of darkness. My forgiveness does not make sin light. It makes saving love stronger. It does not deny the wound, but it prevents the wound from becoming your identity. You are called to rise, not in pride, but in grace. But my beloved child, before you become a support for others, let me become your support. I know that many times you have become so used to being strong that you no longer know how to receive care. You give advice but do not dare to say you are hurting. You pray for others, but avoid your own wounds. You comfort so many people, but when night falls, you do not know how to speak one gentle word to yourself. Today I want you to let yourself be loved without first having to earn it. Imagine John leaning his head upon the chest of the Lord at the Last Supper. That moment was not laziness or weakness. It was the secret of a disciple who knew he was loved. You, too, are invited to lean upon my heart in the same way. Do not fear closeness. Do not fear silence. Do not fear letting me see tears that have not yet dried. My heart is not repulsed by your fragility. My heart was open for you, just as the side of Jesus was open so that blood and water flowed out, becoming a stream of mercy for all who thirst. When you have rested in that love, you will see that the future is no longer a wild beast waiting ahead, but a road I walk with you, step by step. Perhaps you still do not know what next year will be like, whether your work will become stable, whether your health will grow stronger or weaker, how peaceful your family will be, which dreams will come true, and which dreams you will need to release. But you do not need to know the whole map in order to follow the one who holds your hand. Abraham left his homeland without knowing where he was going, simply because he trusted the promise. The people of Israel crossed the Red Sea when the waters opened, only at the moment they were needed. Each day in the wilderness, the cloud and the pillar of fire guided them. Not a written plan for 40 years. Live in the same way. You do not need to grasp the whole future. You only need to hold my hand today. When it is time to know, I will give light. When it is time to turn, I will open the way. When it is time to stop, I will grant peace. When it is time to let go, I will give you enough grace not to fall apart. If there are moments when you are too tired to say a long prayer, you only need to call me Father. One sincere Father can contain an entire ocean. I hear within it fear, hope, repentance, gratitude, hunger for love, and the longing to return. Do not think that prayer must always be beautiful before I receive it. Tax collector in the temple only beat his breast and said, "Have mercy on me, a sinner." And that prayer touched heaven more deeply than long words filled with self-satisfaction. There are nights when you only lie still and breathe. And I still understand. There are days when you walk in silence, and I still read the prayer in your footsteps. There are times when you no longer have tears, and I still know how thirsty the desert inside you is. And precisely in that desert, I can make water spring forth from the rock, as I did for my people when they thought they would die of thirst. Do not fear the barren places. Sometimes the desert is where you learn that the source of life does not come from applause, does not come from control, does not come from perfection, but comes from me. Therefore, continue to live, but live as one who is blessed, not as one who is condemned. Step into tomorrow with a softer heart, not because your life no longer has difficulties, but because you know that hardship has no right to define my love. Care for your body as you would care for a lamp that needs oil. Guard your mind from poisonous words as you would guard a garden from weeds. Use money as a faithful steward, not as a fearful slave. Look at your family with patient eyes, while also knowing how to set holy boundaries. Work with honesty. Learn with humility. Rest without guilt. Rejoice without fear that joy will be taken away. Let laughter return if it has been away from you for too long. Allow yourself to look at a flower. Listen to a hymn. Cook a meal. Write a line in a journal. Walk beneath the evening sky. Call someone you love. And recognize that this life, though still full of cracks, is still scattered by me with seeds of grace. And when night descends again, when you return to the room that once heard my word, do not enter it as though entering a place of loneliness, but as though entering a small chapel of love. Perhaps not much has changed on the outside, but within you a candle has been lit. Let that candle burn slowly. Let me sit with you once more, without hurry, without pressure, without demanding that you present a perfect report of your day. If you did well, I rejoice with you. If you spoke wrongly, I teach you how to repair it. If you were afraid, I hold you. If you forgot me, I still remembered you. If you fell, I reached out my hand. If you loved, I caused that love to grow. And in the silence, you will hear again what I have said, but deeper, gentler, nearer. I am proud of you, not because you have become everything you wanted to be, but because you still allow love to call your name. I am here, not leaving your room, not leaving your heart, not leaving your journey. Sleep in peace, my beloved child, for the one who began a good work in you will bring it to completion. And until that day, every dawn, every night, every tear, every smile, every small step of yours is wrapped in my boundless mercy. My merciful Father, in this moment when this room becomes quiet, I open my heart before your gentle presence. I thank you because you do not stand far from me. You do not look at me with eyes of punishment, but you draw near like a father bending down beside a tired child. Please touch the deepest places within my heart, where there are still fears I cannot yet name, wounds I have tried to hide, and tears I once wiped away quickly so no one would see. Help me truly believe that your word, Do not fear, for I am with you, is not only for someone else, but is also for me today. When I worry about the future, remind me that tomorrow is in your hands. When I am ashamed of the past, remind me that your mercy is greater than every mistake. When I feel small, let me hear again the voice of love saying that I am your beloved child, and that within me you still see a beauty that has never gone out. Lord, source of peace in my life, I offer to you my body, mind, soul, family, work, and every burden resting on my shoulders. There have been days when I was too harsh with myself, forcing myself to be strong when my heart was already weary, forcing myself to smile when I was breaking inside, forcing myself to run after the rhythm of the world while forgetting that I, too, need to rest in you. Teach me to care for my body as a temple of the Holy Spirit, to eat and drink with gratitude, to rest in surrender, to work in faithfulness, and to love with wisdom. Please step into my family, heal what has been cracked, soften hearts that have become hardened, and bring light into conversations long covered by silence. Please also step into my work and finances, so that I may live honestly, know what is enough, strive faithfully, and not be ruled by anxiety. As Jesus turned water into fine wine at Cana, may you also transform the ordinary, lacking, and weary things in my life into signs of grace. Beloved Father, if tonight I do not know how to pray fully, please receive even my clumsiness. If my words are broken, hear my sighs. If my faith is small, protect it like a flickering lamp before the wind. I place into your hands the things I cannot control, the people I love but cannot change, the doors I have knocked on for so long that have not yet opened, the illnesses I fear, the debts I am thinking about, and the dreams I am afraid may never come true. Teach me to take small steps in the light, not to despair because the road is still long, not to compare myself with others, and not to call a season of waiting a failure. Help me remember the story of Mary Magdalene beside the empty tomb, so that when I cry before what seems to have been lost, I may still know that the risen one may be standing very near and calling my name. Let me hear your voice in this room, a voice gentler than every accusation, stronger than every fear, and more faithful than every fragile love of this world. I thank you, Father, because today I am still here, though I am not perfect, though I am still weak, though there are days when I can take only one very small step. You still do not abandon me. I thank you because you have seen the silent battles no one else knows. The times I chose silence instead of hurting someone. The times I tried to stand again after disappointment. The times I wanted to give up but still continued living one more day. I thank you because, in your eyes, hidden effort is as precious as an offering upon the altar. As the poor widow offered 2 small coins and was seen by the Lord for the heart behind them, I believe that the small things I offer today are not forgotten by heaven. Thank you, Father, because you are proud of me, not only when I become perfect, but even while I am learning how to heal. I thank you, Father, because my room is no longer a place of loneliness, but can become a place where you are present. I thank you because within these 4 ordinary walls, you can still place extraordinary peace. Thank you because the bed where I once cried can also become the place where I am comforted. The table where I once worried can also become the place where I begin hope again. The door once closed in weariness can also open toward a new day full of grace. I thank you because just as Jesus entered the locked room of the disciples and said, "Peace be with you," you also enter the places I thought had been locked shut by fear. Thank you, Father, because no door, no guilt, no darkness can prevent your love from drawing near to me. Finally, I thank you, Father, because this world is still full of beautiful signs that you send to me each day. I thank you for the morning light, for the breath within my chest, for a simple meal, for someone who still cares, for a small opportunity, for a gentle reminder, for nature that still quietly tells me that life has never lost its wonder. I thank you for joyful days that teach me to sing, and also for sorrowful days that teach me to cling to you more deeply. I thank you because you are not only high above, but also present in every small thing, in the steps I take, in the work I do, in the love I give, in the sleep I receive, in the dawn I am about to meet. Let this gratitude become a lamp within me, so that whatever happens tomorrow, I will still remember that I do not walk alone. You are before me, behind me, beside me, and within me, and your love will lead me through every long night until my heart is completely at peace. Thank you for listening. Do not forget to subscribe to the channel so that we may grow together in faith and in the love of God.